Today we're going to learn how to read music in the treble clef. Now this cool symbol that you see here, this is what's called the treble clef. It's not too important to know exactly what that is. Just know that there's also a bass clef and an alto clef and various other number of clefs that can be used. But this is how to read music in the treble clef, the one that looks like this. An important thing to know is that the music alphabet contains just 7 letters, the first 7 letters of the alphabet, like you would sing. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then the letters are repeated after that. So one way you can remember it is from, here's a music staff. You'll see it has 5 lines. We'll talk about that more in a minute. But as you're going up the staff, it's going to go up in letters. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it repeats. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It just keeps on repeating forever. You have some lines that go up above the staff and below the staff. That's not that important to know right now either, but just know that the notes can go way up into here if you wanted to. Now, if you take a look at the staff, you'll see that we have 5 lines and we have 4 spaces. Now here's how you can tell the difference between a line note and a space note. If you look at this first note here very carefully, you'll see that it is sandwiched by 2 lines. There's a line on the bottom of it and there's a line on the top of it. So it's in the first space. That note is in the first space. This note you can see also is sandwiched by 2 lines. It's got a line on the top of the note. This is a whole note that we're looking at. And it's got a line on the bottom of the note. So it's the second space. This note here is the third space, and this note here is the fourth space. So it's important that you be able to recognize how to see the spaces and the line notes. So the spaces spell face. We have the first space is an F, the second space is an A, the third space is a C, and the fourth space is an E, face. It's right there in front of your face. You should be able to remember this one. Now if we go down to the second line, we see 5 lines. And the way that you tell a line note is the line is going right through the middle of the note. And that's what makes it a line note. The line's going right through the middle of the note. So we have the first line, the second line, the third line, the fourth line, and the fifth line. A way to remember the line notes is Elvis's guitar broke down Friday. The first line is E for Elvis. The second line is G for guitar. The third line is B for broke. The fourth line is D for down. And then the fifth line is F for Friday. So something I want you to notice. Let's go back and review real quick. So we have the 4 spaces, they spell face, and we have the 5 lines, Elvis's guitar broke down Friday. If you remember those 2 mnemonic devices, then that's going to help you to remember how to read music. Now you'll notice that here, the first space, we have an F, and here, the top line, we have an F. F for face, F for Friday. Those are different notes, but they have the same spelling. When we go back to the science of sound, this F has twice as many vibrations per second as this F does. So this one is a higher note, higher sounding note. So it might sound like la, and this one might sound like la, but they're both the same frequency, but one is higher. So if you were to break down the science of that, you would see that it would have twice as many vibrations per second. So if you can recognize the space notes and if you can recognize the line notes and you remember those 2 mnemonic devices, face for the space, Elvis's guitar broke down Friday for the lines, now you can read music. And what I would like for you to do is to print out this sheet, and you're going to practice this sheet by taking this bottom. Once you have it printed out, you can take the bottom part and fold it over, or you can do it digitally just by covering up the answers and going down as you read them. But you're going to practice until you can get 20 out of 20 correct. So the first thing you're going to do, so for number 1, for example, you find that it's a space note. Remember, space note you can tell because it will be sandwiched by two lines versus number 2, which is a line note, is going to have the line going through it. So once you figure out, is it a space note, now I have to figure out, is it the first space, second space, third space, or fourth space? And you can see number 1 is the first space. We have the spaces spell face from top to bottom, so it's an F. And you can go down here and check that, and you'll find that it's an F. Same thing with number 2. Now I'm going to give you a little trick to help you remember this even easier. When you go from a space to a line to a space to a line to a space to a line, and you're just going in order, then the notes go in the order of the alphabet. So if we have F, G, H. Wait, there is no H because we said up here the alphabet ends at G. So when we get to G and we're going to the next note, it starts back over. A, B, C, D, E, F. Now we're dropping down to the first line, and so that's going to be a different note, but it jumps around after this point. But you can see if all you remember is one of the notes, maybe you remember that first space is F. Now you can figure out, it's going to take you longer to do, but you could figure out the names of the notes. So that's your assignment, to practice that with someone or on your own by folding the paper in half or covering up the answers. I'm going to tell you something else that's cool about learning how to read music. Once you learn, you have this skill forever as long as you're using it occasionally. And you never have to think about it again. This is all the cool things about music. Once you gain a skill, then you have that skill forever.